and welcome to Food for Thought, a series of shows produced by university students from around the world. I'm Laura Faria from Ryerson University in Canada.
I'm Arina Mukhortova from HSEA in Moscow, Russia.
I'm Noah Yakubov.
And I'm Nativ Koslov, and we're from Tower University in Israel.
I'm Jean Ling with Eric Ling. We are from National Taiwan University of Sports in Taichung, Taiwan.
Food for Thought is a series of 7 shows produced by university students from 10 countries around the world.
Our shows can be found on our website and our social media.
This episode, we will explore how we view food from around the world. Along the way, we will be presented with some delicious treats. So let's get started.
Canada is known for welcoming immigrants, and I'm one of them. I moved to Canada from Brazil 10 years ago. When I moved here, I didn't know anything about stereotypically Canadian foods. Noah, what do you think the typical foods are in Canada?
When I think of Canada, I tend to think about maple syrup or Canadian bacon.
That's exactly what I thought too. But come with me and learn more about Canadian foods that you may or may not have known of. I was born and raised in Brazil, and ever since I moved to Canada 10 years ago, the first thing Canadians told me was always, "Oh, you have to try Tim Hortons." And I did. Now, on a typical morning, this is my breakfast: an iced cap and a donut. Tim Hortons was founded in 1964 by an ice hockey player named Tim Horton. Next on my list, poutine. If you haven't heard of poutine, it's French fries covered in gravy and cheese curds. Definitely an acquired taste. Another typically Canadian thing is maple syrup. And I only ever thought of maple syrup as what goes into pancakes and waffles. But I was shocked to find out that there's such thing as frozen maple candy. Next up, we have ketchup chips. Being born in Brazil, I've never ever seen ketchup chips before, and once I got used to it, I forgot that this wasn't a thing in the rest of the world. These began as an experiment with fruit-flavored chips, and every other flavor flopped except for the ketchup dressing ones. I mean, it doesn't really taste like ketchup, but it does definitely taste like tomato. Like it does have tomato sauce to it. And now for the headliner of the trials, Tales of Beavers. Beaver tails. So it's got this Nutella, cream, chocolate sauce, bananas. It's deep fried. It's the kind of thing that tastes both like something you would eat to comfort yourself, but also like something you would eat when you hate yourself. So, yes, the Canadian foods definitely did confuse me, especially the beaver tails part of it all.
Carla Fisher knows what it's like to come to another country and experience foods that are very different from home. Carla is from Germany but is attending school in Breda in the Netherlands, and he joins us now. Hi, Carlo.
Hey everyone, as Arina just mentioned, when I moved to the Netherlands, I instantly noticed that the food culture in that country is very different from what I thought I knew about it. When I thought about the Netherlands, the only thing that came to my mind is cheese. But what I've discovered is that there's a huge snack culture existing, which was very surprising to me, because when I think of countries' food specialties, I think of very time-consuming and extravagant meals. But the specialties I know from here are mostly warm snacks, which are very easy to make. Because of that, I tried some of them and gave my very honest opinion. Let me show you.
Hey guys, here we are in Breda and today I'm gonna take you with me on a tour to try some of the most famous Dutch snacks. So let's go! Here we are at the Wall of Fame of Kees Kroket, which is a very typical way for Dutch people to get their snacks. You see all these chambers, you can either pay by card or by cash, then you open the chamber and get your favorite snack. It's as easy as that. First we have the kaas soufflé. Well, as expected, there's a lot of cheese in there, but there's not much taste behind it. It's just cheese fried, so I would give it a solid 3. Now we have the frikandel. I really like it. It's very spicy, like not hot or anything, but it has a lot of taste in it, like a very good sausage. I would give it a solid 8. Last but not least, we have the bitterballen. I can see why Dutch people eat it with mustard. It gives it like an extra spice. Very, very tasteful. I would recommend it to anyone who likes snacks, especially warm snacks. Taste, a solid 9. Alright, we're gonna get our snacks today from Albert Heijn, which Dutch people often call appie, so come with me. Alright, first off we got the Rozekoek. Looks very nice, but is it gonna taste good? We'll find out later. And furthermore, we got the stroopwafel. Here you see a lot of variations on it, but we are gonna take the original version with roomboter. I hope I pronounced that right. But yeah, let's keep moving. Here we have the Rozekuchen. To me, this already looks amazing, like I really want to taste it. I would give it a 10 out of 10 because of the pink color. It just looks very inviting to me. Wow. Yeah, like I expected, it's very, very sweet. The pink on top, probably all sugar. And under it is like a little cake. I would give it a 8 out of 10 for the taste because it's very, very sweet. Could be a little less, but it tastes very, very good. Right, next up the stroopwafel. And now let's take a taste. I didn't expect that. In the middle it's actually very smooth, like outside it's very hard shape, but in the middle, as you can see here, it's very smooth. So far my favorite snack, so I would give it a 10 out of 10. Alright guys, sadly that's it for today. I really enjoyed it, I hope you did too. I had some good, some pretty bad experiences too, to be honest, but if you want to get your hands on a Dutch snack, I would really recommend the bitterballen for a warm snack and the stroopwafel for a cold snack. I really, really enjoyed them, and otherwise just try them out yourself. So yeah, bye!
Thanks for joining us, Carla. Our next story is from Israel. Natif, what are you eating?
I'm eating hummus, actually. Wait, I just have to get my pita torn. Yeah, hummus is actually, I don't know if to say if it's considered an Israeli dish.
But it is really popular here.
So I'm eating it, as you can see.
Have you guys ever tried it before?
I like pita bread, but usually put ketchup on it.
If you were to put ketchup in Israel on your pita bread, you would be shamed for sure.
Yeah, that's not very
popular at all.
Pita and hummus is one of my favorite foods, actually. However, the store-bought kind is definitely not as good as the real versions, I imagine, are in Israel.
For sure, for sure. And actually, Israeli food has been getting a lot of international recognition. Throughout these recent years, Israeli chefs have been making their way all around the world and founding famous restaurants that celebrate Israeli food and cuisine. Yet, another question that is very prominent in Israel today is, what even is Israeli food?
פעם היה עוף, דג, בשר, ובזה אכלו, גמרנו. היום עושים את זה כל מיני דברים, וסור וכאלו דברים. אני לא משתתף במשחק הזה.
חברים, שלום. אנחנו באנו לשוק הכרמל כדי לבדוק כאן בתל אביב מה זה למעשה אוכל ישראלי. באנו לשאול את השאלה הזאת ולבדוק כאן, בתוך כל הבלגן הזה, מה זה אוכל ישראלי. אז בואו נצא לדרך. חוקרים ובודקים מה זה אוכל ישראלי. שאלה מוזרה.
כן.
מחפשים ורוצים למצוא תשובות. אולי יש לך את התשובה בשבילי.
מה אתה מחפש?
מחפש לדעת מה זה אוכל ישראלי.
הנה אנא עולם. זה פלאפל, זה חומוס.
וואלה, כעיקרון פלאפל, חומוס.
פלאפל, חומוס, שווארמה.
חומוס. מאכל מצרים? מצרים חומוס? מה זה אוכל ישראלי?
בוריקה.
בוריקה.
מכיר?
בטח מכיר, אני לא מכיר.
עושה לך בוריקה? בוריקה! אוכל טריפוליטאי, נכון? למה זה ישראלי?
למה?
אבל הכנסנו אותו בפיתה.
אוכל ישראלי זה מכלול של תרבויות שהגיעו לארץ.
קיבוץ גלויות קולינרי.
אז בעצם זה כור היתוך, אתה יודע, עלינו מכל הארצות, ממרוקו, מתימן, מרוסיה, מכל הארצות. וזה היופי שבעצם אין אוכל ישראלי ייחודי שגדל בארץ ישראל.
אין דבר כזה אוכל ישראלי, זה המצאה שלנו. הכל גנבנו. אני לא חושב שהאוכל נוצר בשביל להתענג. האוכל נוצר בשביל להצביע את הקיבה של הבן אדם.
לחיים.
Our reporters wanted to learn more about Israeli food, so they went to Asif, a non-profit culinary center at the heart of Tel Aviv, dedicated to nurturing and cultivating Israel's diverse and creative food culture.
So they met up with Ronit Vered, a well-renowned writer, researcher, and curator at the Asif Center, to get to the root of this question. Over to Atalia Amir with the story.
איפה אנחנו נמצאים? מה זה מרכז אסיף?
אסיף זה מרכז לתרבות אוכל. המטרה שלנו בעצם היא לאסוף ידע שקשור לתרבות אוכל ותרבות קולינרית, ולהנגיש אותו לקהל הרחב, ולהיות מקום שבעצם יקדם את השיח הקולינרי בישראל, על כל המורכבות של זה.
איך תופסים אוכל ישראלי בעולם?
אני חושבת שבסופו של דבר ישראלים שיווקו מאוד יפה לעולם את האוכל באמת המזרח תיכוני. היום שלי אנשים בחו"ל, אז כרובית עם טחינה זה נורא ישראלי, אבל כרובית עם טחינה כשלעצמה זה לא נורא ישראלי, זה נורא מזרח תיכוני. משהו בתזונה הזאת המזרח תיכונית מאוד תואם גם ערכים תזונתיים של תזונה מודרנית. אחרי שנים שבהם העולם דווקא ניזון הרבה משומן ופחמימות וסוכר.
איך היית מגדירה אוכל ישראלי?
אנחנו עדיין לא יודעים בדיוק להגדיר מה זה מטבח ישראלי, זה בערך שאלת $1,000,000, אבל אנחנו כבר יודעים להגיד שיש שני מקורות השפעה מאוד גדולים. אחד זה בעצם מטבחים של קהילות יהודיות שמגיעות לפה מכל רחבי העולם. כמעט כל קהילה יהודית בכל מקום שהיא ישבה, אימצה בעצם את המנהגים של הקהילות שבתוכם היא ישבה, ורק הפכה אותם לקשרות. והמקור השפעה השני והמרכזי יותר הוא בעצם האוכל המקומי, וזה כמעט הכי מסובך להגדיר, כי מה זה אוכל מקומי? זה אוכל מזרח תיכוני, זה אוכל לבנטיני, זה אוכל פלסטיני, זה אוכל ערבי. יש בו את החומוס והפלאפל שהן ללא ספק השפעה פלסטינית ערבית ברורה.
למה כל מי שאני אשאל אותו מה זה אוכל ישראלי, הדבר הראשון שיקפוץ לו זה חומוס ופלאפל, למרות ש...
אתה בא למרחב חדש ואתה רוצה להיות חלק ממנו, אז אתה תובע על עצמך בעלות על חומרי הגלם שמסמלים אותו ועל המאכלים שמסמלים אותו. אז נוח יותר במובן מסוים לדבוק במה שמסמל את האדמה הזאת ואת המקום הזה. גם אם כשאתה מסתכל על זה מבחוץ, בסופו של דבר כתהליך היסטורי, אז יש בזה גם ניחוס תרבותי, כמו שטוענים הפלסטינים. אני כן חושבת שיש דבר כזה אוכל ישראלי. חלה עם שניצל מעוף מתוחה, עם אריסה ועם אמבה ועם טחינה וחומוס. מין כזה שעטנז של קצת מזרח אירופה וקצת עיראק וקצת צפון אפריקה והרבה פלסטיני ערבי מקומי. זה בסופו של דבר משהו שמתחיל להתהוות כמו מטבח ישראלי.
ממש תודה, רונית ורד.
בשמחה.
You are watching Food for Thought, a series of 7 shows produced by students from 10 countries around the world. You can watch all of our shows on our website and social media. And now let's go about 4,000 kilometers from Israel to my country, Russia. Our next story is about a food all Russians know about. It's blini. It dates back to ancient times and used to signal the end of a long winter and the return of the sun. I'll tell you more about it.
Hello everybody, my name is Irina. Today I would like to tell you a true story about blini or Russian pancakes in my family. For centuries, blini have been baked in every family and wine was no exception. For a long time, my grandparents lived in the north, where the temperatures are very low. On the Chukchi Peninsula is minus 40 degrees Celsius and Fahrenheit. Food and everything needed was brought from the mainland, and for the plane to land, grandmother baked blini. My mother was 4 years old then, and she warmed her hands by the stove, which was fired by wood. Even now, when my mother and I already live in Moscow, and when she bakes blini, the weather becomes good and the sun peeps out. This is pure truth, and this sign never let us down. Thank you for becoming a part of our family and our history for a short time. Enjoy your meal.
In Taiwan, if we want to host people to our house, I usually cook hot pot because it's the most easy way to fill a lot of people. And for me, hot pot is like an easy thing, and you can put a lot of things inside wherever you want to put vegetable or meat. And actually, it's come from China, but Taiwanese have our own sauce and flavor.
Our next stories are about people that are learning to enjoy and cook the food from their own cultures.
Toronto is a multicultural city that is home to almost 3 million people representing more than 16 countries around the world. Kevin Foradi is a second-generation immigrant. His parents are from the Philippines and Iran. Kevin is proud of his heritage, but it wasn't always like that. He was immersed in Western food as a child, but is now getting to know how to cook and enjoy the food from his own culture. Adriana Solis Lozano and Kathleen Gao from Ryerson University have more on this story.
I really like cooking Filipino food in particular because I feel like it gives me a sense of connection and warmth to the Filipino community and my mom's community. It lets me like carry on my culture and not forget it. My mom is from the Philippines and my dad's from Iran, so I was just like exposed to a lot of culture. I think growing up in a lot of different ethnic dishes, I don't want my mom's like journey to Canada to be forgotten. I don't want like her culture and her traditions and her stories to be forgotten. So I feel like by cooking Filipino food, I'm kind of paying respect and paying tribute to that. I got off the phone with my mom today and she gave me the recipe for pancit, which is a Filipino dish that I ate a lot growing up. It's a stir-fried noodle dish with some chicken and some veggies in it. It was definitely a favorite of mine growing up. Since I moved out of the house, I think that my relationship with Filipino food definitely changed for the better. I think being on your own changes your perspective on a lot of things, and it changed my perspective on my mom's food. I mean, I started to miss it. I started to feel the need to want to become more connected to it. And now I feel this sense of pride and I feel this sense of I guess like courage that I get from it, that I have the courage now to share this food with other people. I feel the need to like tell my roommates about it and say, hey, like this is the kind of food I ate growing up. Like, would you guys be interested in trying it? So I think over time it changed from me like still liking it but being ashamed to show it to loving it and being proud and grateful and happy to show it to other people. And I trust my roommates to show them, you know, this is where I come from, this is where my mother comes from, you know, these are our stories, and I want it to be an experience that we can, you know, get closer over and bond over and share our own experiences together. And at the end of the day, I just want people to see my side and to see where I come from and to taste the food that I tasted growing up, because I really want to share and to like extend my experiences and to not be forgotten. I think I just want it to be remembered. Yeah.
There are almost 1 million indigenous peoples in Canada who lived on the land long before settlers from Europe and elsewhere arrived there.
Nowadays, many indigenous people live in our biggest cities and struggle to maintain their cultural heritage, including the traditional foods their elders ate. Matthew Davidson and Fariha Zafar met one indigenous woman who is learning about the foods her grandmother ate.
Corn soup has been in my family for quite some time. So my dad used to make corn soup, and so did my grandma and my grandfather. It's something that's been passed down through the generations and is a traditional family meal to have. So to me, I don't know how to make it myself, but my dad's been making it, and this one right here is actually from my grandma. I'm from a community called Wattamohawk Territory, and my father is Mohawk. He's from the Gunnesadauga lands in Quebec, and my mother is of mixed Scottish, Irish, and English ancestry. The corn is it's not really as available anymore on specific territories like Wata, mostly from environmental change, but corn soup as a family tradition and something that's passed down, I think the reason that I lack the understanding of how to make the soup and the corn being a part of the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, these are all the rippling effects and impacts of the processes of colonization and what's happened with the displacement of our communities and our people from the communities who hold this knowledge. My grandma told me that the soup, my grandfather used to make it, and he would make it for community members. When he would prepare the corn, which takes a really long time, hours and hours, he would make it for community members and for family. So corn soup to my family has not been something that's like a regular, everyday, this is what you have all the time. It's more of a special occasion meal or just something special to bring out from time to time. But I think because it's been so hard to find the traditional corn, that it really can't be something that you have every day. This soup is something that reminds me of my family, so this is, I really want to learn from my grandma and my dad on the stories of how to make it and the instructions and the way that they do it, and make it with care, so I can pass that on to my family in the future, my children and grandchildren. And to me, corn soup has really been, it reminds me of family, but it is a good reminder that food is such a vessel back to our traditions and some of our traditional ways, and that's something that I definitely want to be able to embrace and learn more about, and learn those teachings to be able to pass on to the future generations.
People have been living in Taiwan for thousands of years. Over the centuries, we've been colonized by the Dutch, Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese. We can see the influence of those cultures in a lot of Taiwanese food.
For example, the breadfruit rice is really popular here. It originally came from China. After Japanese colonial rule, sugar was added. Let's go to the second popular retail market in Taichung and see how breadfruit rice is made.
We've been talking about foods that are important to different cultures. Bread is part of almost every culture on the planet.
It's definitely important in Russia. Eating bread is important in almost every part of Russian life. I remember going to my aunt's wedding and we had a traditional bread karavai. It's not really delicious, it's very small and dry and salty, but it's important at weddings. Anastasia Batagova from here at Hessie University, Moscow, decided to go deeper into the issue and explore the importance of bread for the Russian culture.
Hi! Welcome to Moscow. You all certainly know some typical dishes we really like here in Russia. But there is one product which is not so often mentioned, but for us of particular importance. Bread accompanies us throughout the whole our life. The symbolic significance of bread is tremendous. It is a religious attribute. It is also used during some traditional ceremonies, such as weddings. Why actually the attitude toward bread is so special, so nice and respectful? Why is its role so huge? Let's have a look.
Each year, Russia produces more than 5.5 million tons of bread and pastries. On average, each Russian eats up to 95 kilos of bread per year. It's about 190 loaves per person. This product plays a great role in Russian culture. It is actually deeply rooted in religion. 66% of Russians adhere to the Orthodox Church. For this confession, bread is a great symbol of God's flesh.
Слово «хлеб» встречается в Священном Писании более 600 раз. Это слово имеет очень много значений. Это эквивалент человеческого труда и эквивалент человеческой жизни. Ну, что касается традиции печь и продавать хлеб при церкви в монастырях, она всегда была, поскольку раньше монастыри имели земли, имели крестьян, это как бы продавался продукт их труда, и за счет этого жили монастыри.
If we focus on Russian customs, we will also find many examples connected to bread. Let's talk about it.
To welcome guests, Russians traditionally used to bake a special bread and put a small bowl with salt on it. Still, the expression "to greet with bread and salt" means a really warm and friendly welcome. Such a crucial family occasion as wedding is also impossible without bread. To start their family life, a newly married couple has to bite a piece from a huge bread pie, named karavai, and thus determines the head of the family. A huge variety of bread types is sold in Russian bakeries. Even different nationalities in Russia have their own recipes of bread, but it's still made of wheat or rye. During the World War II, people suffered from famine, so bread acquired an almost sacred significance. To throw it away is considered to be an assault and disrespect even nowadays.
As the well-known Russian idiom states, bread is the stuff of life.
You've been watching Food for Thought. In this episode, we've heard about traditional Canadian dishes, seen the wonderful Israeli pita bread and hummus, and traditional food from Russia, the Philippines, and indigenous cuisines.
This is just one of 7 shows produced by students from 10 countries around the world. Our shows cover issues ranging from food waste to food security to nutrition.
All of our shows are available on our website and social media channels.
I, for one, have to say that I really want to try the Russian bread. It looked really interesting. And I love carbs.
For the foreign countries' dishes, I want to introduce a thing that's called balut. It's a fertilized duck eggs that is treated in Philippines and some Asian country. It actually is just unborn duck and in the eggs. I don't have the courage to try it, but my friend said it's just salty and crunchy and is full of nutrients. It's not that's as we imagined.
I want to try pita with hummus after this show. Very interesting idea.
Very good.
I'm still looking forward to trying some blini, and I think I would be courageous enough to try the fertilized eggs. But it was nice to meet all of you, and thank you so much for watching Food for Thoughts.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.